Emily Harrison had always considered herself strong and independent. Living in the heart of New York City, she managed to blend her career successes with a vibrant personal life. Every morning began with a fragrant espresso at a cozy cafe near her home, where she would ponder the day ahead and dream up new ideas for the creative advertising campaigns at a prestigious Manhattan agency. To her colleagues, she appeared confident, energetic, and unpredictable, and her impeccable appearance and sincere laughter made people believe that she had it all. Her career, friends, and a seemingly stable relationship with Michael, the man with whom she had long shared not only everyday joys, but also dreams of a future together. Michael was practical and reliable, the person Emily had met during their university years. He worked in finance and had a way of creating a sense of security even when life's storms raged around them. Yet, despite the stability and predictability of their relationship, a growing inner emptiness took root in Emily's soul, a feeling that behind the sparkling facade of routine lay something more, something unsaid. She caught herself daydreaming about freedom, about breaking free from the confines of the ordinary and plunging into a whirlwind of new sensations. Sometimes, on quiet evenings when the city twinkled with thousands of lights outside her window, it seemed as if every twist of fate held hidden mysteries, and deep inside her heart, a desire to experience something forbidden, exotic, and dangerous was awakening. New York seduced her with its multifaceted charm, and among the endless flow of people, she searched for something that could rekindle a long-dormant spark within her. Her job afforded her the chance to meet fascinating personalities, and it was at one such event, a cocktail party in a stylish loft, that Emily first laid eyes on Ryan. He entered the room with an effortless confidence. His light brown hair and deep blue eyes immediately captured not only Emily's attention, but that of many in attendance. Ryan was a successful entrepreneur, a man whose magnetism drew glances and inspired questions that few dared to ask. That evening, a light conversation sparked between them, and Emily felt something long forgotten awaken inside her, the desire to savor life in all its fullness, to take a risk and step beyond the familiar world. In the days that followed, Ryan's image increasingly appeared in Emily's thoughts. She found herself reminiscing about his smile, the subtle play of light in his eyes, and his way of speaking about things that had once seemed uninteresting to her. Michael continued to be by her side, offering care and support, but their relationship gradually morphed into a routine symphony of mundane tasks, where there was little room for passion and unexpected discoveries. Each morning, as she woke to her habitual rhythm, Emily grew more convinced that life should be multifaceted, that every person harbored secret desires capable of turning the world upside down. The bustling city, with its endless energy, seemed to hint that change was inevitable, and that fate might deliver a surprise at the most unexpected moment. At a time when everything around her appeared so stable and predictable, chance encounters began to open new horizons. A subtle hint of fate, a fleeting exchange of glances, a brief yet charged touch made her heart race. Every small detail, whether it was the warm sunlight piercing the morning haze or a random conversation with a stranger on a busy street, took on a special meaning. Emily increasingly sensed that within her lived a desire as powerful and unstoppable as an ocean tide, screaming for change. In those moments, she wondered if her entire life had been merely a preparation for the instant when all the masks would fall away and the truth would blaze like a bright flame. Time passed, and the fine line between dream and reality began to blur. Casual encounters on the streets of the metropolis, the gentle scent of rain in the twilight, and the elusive feeling that every minute could be fateful, all spurred Emily to seek opportunities to see Ryan outside the noisy events and superficial conversations. And then, one evening, several weeks after that fateful meeting, she received a message from him. The text was simple, almost innocent, yet carried a hint of promise for further connection. "Hi, Emily. It was nice meeting you. Would you like to meet for a cup of coffee sometime?" Those few words ignited a spark within her that she had long kept hidden behind the walls of routine. The meeting was set at a quaint little cafe in the Soho neighborhood, where walls adorned with vintage photographs and soft background music seemed specially designed to shield patrons from the chaos of the city beyond. Dressed in a light pastel dress, Emily felt both excited and apprehensive. Michael was staying late at work that evening, leaving her with a chance to indulge in a new chapter that might alter the course of her life. When she saw Ryan sitting by the window, bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun that played across his features, her heart skipped a beat. He smiled at her, and in that moment, it felt as if the entire world had shrunk to the confines of that little cafe, each word he spoke resonating like a promise of unforgettable moments. They talked about everything, from favorite books and films to the difficulty of finding genuine connections in a vast city where people hurried past each other. Ryan spoke with such passion that even the most mundane subjects transformed into vivid tales, and his gaze seemed to pierce through the boundaries of everyday life. Emily absorbed every word, every nuance, as if listening to a long-forgotten melody that reignited the flame of life within her. In her mind, images of freedom, adventure, and an indescribable thrill that only risk could bring began to take shape. It was as if fate had conspired to bring them together, gifting her the chance to experience something once deemed unattainable. As the evening gradually deepened into night, and the city outside acquired a mysterious glitter of lights, an inner awakening stirred within Emily. She felt the familiar chains of routine dissolving in the lightness of the moment, her soul yearning for unexplored heights. That evening marked a turning point. An invisible connection had formed between her and Ryan, so powerful and magnetic that resisting it was impossible. Thoughts of seizing life fully, of loving and feeling without the constraints of fear and convention, filled her mind. Every word, every smile, grew increasingly significant, syncing her heartbeat with the rhythm of the nocturnal city. Soon, Emily began to secretly anticipate her meetings with Ryan, sensing that old, long-dormant emotions were coming back to life. Her inner voice told her that this was the beginning of something grand, something that could change everything. Yet at the same time, guilt and anxiety gnawed at her. After all, she was involved with Michael, a man who had always represented stability and warmth. These conflicting emotions wove together into a complex tapestry that both tormented and enticed her with its mysterious allure and promise of new sensations. As the days turned into nights, the inner tension grew, and Emily became increasingly aware that her soul yearned for change. Her encounters with Ryan evolved into something deeper than mere coffee dates. They began to seek opportunities to meet in more informal settings. Chance meetings in the narrow streets of Chelsea, late-night walks along the Hudson River, where the city was bathed in soft shimmering lights, and the cool night air heightened the thrill of the forbidden. Each time their eyes met, a tempest of emotions swirled within Emily, a mix of fear, excitement, confusion, and an indescribable joy that made her entire being tremble. She understood that much was at stake, yet that very risk was irresistibly alluring. On one hand, Michael continued to offer her care and stability. On the other, Ryan awakened emotions she thought she had lost forever. The internal conflict split her in two. Logic urged her to remain faithful to the familiar, while her heart pulled her toward an unknown, uncharted path. Nights became battlegrounds between duty and desire, between the fear of losing everything and the longing to experience life fully. In moments of solitude, Emily wondered if she had the strength to make a choice that would alter her destiny, and whether that choice might mark the beginning of the end for what she once considered eternal. Gradually, the transition from pure exhilaration to the first step down a forbidden path became inevitable. One warm summer evening, when the city seemed particularly inviting, Emily felt that she could no longer ignore the call of her heart. After one of their meetings, when they unexpectedly found themselves together on the rooftop of an old Soho building, outlined by the shimmering lights of nocturnal New York, the spark between them transformed into something more. Ryan, gazing at her with intensity, invited her for a walk along the deserted streets, where neon lights danced on the wet pavement, and the silence of the night echoed with the ancient tales of the city. Every step they took was laden with unspoken symbolism. It felt as if they were crossing paths with their former selves, leaving behind images of past lives filled with constraints and fears. Emily felt her heart swell with emotions she had never dared imagine: tenderness, passion, anxiety, and a sense of freedom that seemed to have returned from oblivion. They paused at a small street cafe, where over cups of strong coffee and the soft strains of jazz, they discussed everything, from everyday anecdotes to philosophical reflections on the meaning of life. In Ryan's eyes, she saw the reflection of the emotions she had long been searching for, and in his voice resonated the promise of a new beginning, where the past held no power and the future was shrouded in mystery. Yet, along with this passion came a deep undercurrent of unease. Emily realized that her heart was splitting between two worlds: the world of stability, represented by Michael, and the realm of unbridled passion ignited by Ryan. Every time she embraced him, an indescribable mixture of sweetness and bitter foreboding coursed through her, leaving her to wonder if she was truly capable of transforming her life, if she was ready to risk everything for fleeting moments that might prove as ephemeral as morning mist. As the nights grew darker and their clandestine meetings continued, every kiss, every touch, seemed both a salvation and a harbinger of inevitable ruin. In the whirlwind of these secret meetings, days merged with nights, and every moment spent with Ryan became both a gift and a curse. Emily's thoughts wandered through labyrinths of passion, where her mind tried to understand where this path would lead, while her heart demanded continuation. She began to crave these moments as one might long for rain on a scorching day, and with each encounter her feelings grew more intense, while the secret she harbored grew heavier. Her inner world filled with contradictory emotions: ecstatic joy mixed with acute guilt, the thrill of the unknown, intertwined with a nostalgic ache for lost ideals. Their encounters took place in the most unexpected places: quiet corners of urban parks, hidden courtyards of old buildings, abandoned galleries where time seemed to stand still. Every time they were alone, Ryan managed to create an atmosphere where the world around them disappeared, leaving only the two of them in a realm of shared desire. His touches were gentle and confident, his words like promises she wanted to keep close to her heart. In those moments, as if in a transcendent dream, Emily forgot everything except the overwhelming sensations that filled her, and in each kiss, each glance, she saw the reflection of her most cherished dreams. Yet deep inside, she sensed that this dance on the edge of the forbidden was bound to collide with reality, for too many ties and responsibilities threatened to shatter their fragile bubble. The relentless rhythm of daily life began to clash with the inner changes as the shadow of betrayal grew ever more tangible. Michael, gentle and reliable, increasingly noticed subtle shifts in Emily's behavior: sudden absences, cryptic excuses, and distant glances that betrayed thoughts uncharacteristic of the woman he once knew. He tried to understand the cause of these changes, but every inquiry was met with quiet, unyielding defensiveness, and her gaze became more detached with each passing day. In Michael's mind, troubling suspicions began to form, and every time he noticed Emily lost in thought while glancing at her phone or nervously twirling a strand of hair, a storm of doubts surged within him. Yet his love, patient and forgiving, prevented him from fully grasping the truth that lay hidden beneath the veneer of everyday normality. In these moments, the nocturnal New York City transformed into a stage for dramatic confrontations, where every word and movement took on profound significance. Michael wondered if the part of Emily he had once loved was slowly slipping away, that elusive spark now replaced by an intense fixation on something else. Meanwhile, Emily herself felt the mounting pressure of internal conflict. Every touch from Ryan rekindled forgotten emotions, while every morning, as she returned home, left her feeling fragmented between two worlds. Her soul, standing at a crossroads, wavered between guilt and the longing for freedom, between the love that offered comfort and the passion that promised unforgettable moments. These emotions intertwined into an inescapable whole, and each day became a trial where she was forced to choose between the past and the future, between the familiar shadow of stability and the alluring gleam of the unknown. In moments of quiet reflection, as the city settled under the veil of night, Emily tried to make sense of herself. She asked herself how one could live split between two worlds, how to preserve that part of oneself that had always longed for freedom without betraying those who had once given unconditional love and care. Each new morning brought fresh doubts, each awakening a fresh sting of the consequences of her choices. Her diary, filled with lines of tears and whispered prayers, bore silent witness to her inner battle, a reflection of a world where joy mingled with bitterness, hope with fear. She searched for answers in books, in music, in casual conversations with friends, yet each time the answers eluded her, leaving behind only the echo of the unsaid and the ever-present sense of loss. As her relationship with Ryan deepened and took on an increasingly intimate character, their encounters found refuge in a vintage hotel on the outskirts of the city. A place where time seemed to pause beneath the cloak of night, where every kiss marked the beginning of a new story and every touch promised change. In these secret havens, far from prying eyes and the confines of routine, Emily felt more alive than ever before. Yet even the brightest moments were tinged with the inevitability of exposure. Her heart pounded with each beat, a constant reminder that truth is relentless and that every hidden secret eventually reaches its expiration. Then came the moment when the world Emily had so desperately tried to keep hidden began to crumble with overwhelming force. Michael, gathering all his strength, decided it was time to confront her, when his suspicions and anxiety had reached their breaking point. On that fateful night, as rain pounded the windows of their apartment, he gently but resolutely posed the questions that had long festered in his heart. Michael's voice was filled with pain and disappointment, each word laden not only with sorrow, but with a quiet hope that perhaps the mistake could still be mended, that what once seemed unbreakable might be restored. Emily tried to offer excuses and salvage her actions with words, but deep inside she knew that the time for lies had passed, that the truth could no longer be concealed. The conversation turned into a painful dialogue where every sentence was a wound and every silence an accusation. Emily felt her soul splinter as fear and regret overwhelmed her, reducing her to soft, nearly inaudible sobs. Michael, the man she had once loved with all his heart, now looked at her with pain mirrored in his eyes, and in that moment, she realized that everything between them had been nothing more than an illusion of stability, a construct designed to mask the profound emptiness within. He spoke of trust, of the essential need for honesty between them, and of how her betrayal had struck a blow that could not be forgotten. Every word from Michael sounded like a verdict, an irrevocable severance that could not be postponed. In the silence of their small apartment, once filled with laughter and warm conversations, there now reigned only the bitterness of loss. Emily tried to convince herself that things had simply gone awry, that her soul had yearned for something new that could not be satisfied by the routine stability, but her words only echoed back as hollow justifications. Every minute spent in that unyielding silence served as a painful reminder that love, devoid of sincerity, simply cannot endure. Her thoughts swung wildly between memories of happier days with Michael and the moments of passion shared with Ryan, each recollection intensifying the pain of a choice that had reached the point of no return. With a quiet dignity, despite the anguish, Michael spoke of the difficulty of forgiveness, of the arduous task of rebuilding trust once it had been shattered. Emily listened as if in a trance, realizing in that instant that she had not only lost the man she once adored, but also a piece of herself. Her inner world was in turmoil, and every recollection of happier times now dissolved into a bitter drop of regret. She understood that those moments when everything seemed perfect and boundless had become an unattainable dream, evaporated in tears and quiet goodbyes. The inner world she had built with Ryan had transformed into a destructive force, one that threatened to engulf everything she held dear, leaving behind only the cold echo of what once was. At dawn, as the first rays of sunlight began to pierce through the curtains and the city slowly awoke, Emily realized it was time to face the consequences of her choices. Sitting in the same small cafe where her secret meetings with Ryan had once begun, she attempted to grasp the weight of what had transpired. In her eyes shone not only the pain, but also the resolve to find a way out of the labyrinth of her mistakes. Every minute spent alone forced her to ponder what it truly meant to be authentic, what it meant to love, and how fragile trust can be. The memories of happier, passionate times had transformed into a bitter reminder of loss, and Emily understood that life would never be the same. The meetings with Ryan, so enticing and thrilling at first, had become a constant source of pain and doubt. His once uplifting voice now echoed hollowly, a reminder of the loss she had brought upon them both. Though he attempted to restore what had been broken by offering the chance for a fresh start, Emily no longer saw in his eyes the promise that had once made their connection unique. Instead, she faced an abyss that separated the past from the future, hope from despair. Every new morning was a test, every memory a painful reminder that mistakes once made cannot be erased. Emily sought solace in solitude, wandering empty streets where she had once dreamed of the future, searching for the strength to forgive herself for the choices she had made. With each step, every moment of introspection only deepened the questions of whether what was lost could ever be regained, and how to move forward when the past had left its indelible mark. A flame of remorse kindled within her, and she came to realize that life is not merely a series of breakups and final farewells, but a complex journey where every mistake carries its own cost, and every decision brings irreversible consequences. At long last, the moment arrived when the world Emily had desperately tried to conceal collapsed entirely. Michael, having reached the limits of his endurance, resolved to confront her on that fateful night when rain pounded relentlessly against the apartment windows. His words, imbued with both sorrow and a faint hope for redemption, fell like a final judgment upon her. In the ensuing dialogue, every sentence felt like a wound, every silence a piercing reminder of betrayal. In that heart-wrenching confrontation, Emily understood that she had lost not only the man she had once loved, but also a part of herself. Alone and overwhelmed by reflection, Emily sat once more in the cafe where her destiny had first begun to unfold, contemplating the enormity of her choices. In her eyes was not only the sorrow of loss, but also a determination to move forward, to confront the consequences of a life split between passion and responsibility. With each recollection of moments that once shone with promise, now tainted by regret, she realized that the journey ahead would be long and arduous, a path toward healing built on the painful lessons of her past. Emily's story, woven from the complexities of fate, passion, and the inexorable consequences of choice, is not merely a tale of infidelity. It is a narrative of the intricate interplay of human emotions, of the challenges that force us to choose between the comforts of illusion and the risks of being true to ourselves. In the throes of her internal battle, as she wavered between the familiar stability offered by Michael and the dangerous allure of Ryan, she ultimately discovered that every love carries a price, and that true freedom is found in the courage to acknowledge one's mistakes and begin anew. Thus, as New York City stirred with the promise of a new day, Emily took her first hesitant steps toward rebuilding her life. Though her heart bore the scars of choices made in moments of passion and regret, she understood that every ending is also the start of a new chapter in the continuous narrative of human existence. A story where loss, however painful, can become the foundation for rediscovering the strength to love life in its raw, unvarnished truth.